Today's video has been sponsored by BenQ. NieR Automata is one of the most revolutionary and impactful JRPGs of the past decade. To say that I love this game is a vast understatement. Its story, characters, music, and gameplay are some of the finest that video games have to offer. That being said, when this game was first announced to be coming to Nintendo Switch, I have to admit I was a skeptic. This is an action game by Platinum, and as a result, stable performance is truly important. And I was wondering how the Nintendo Switch, going on almost 5 years old now, would be able to do justice to this game without completely nerfing the resolution and having an unstable frame rate. However, I am thrilled to report that NieR Automata on Switch runs fantastically. First of all, while docked, this game runs at a full 1080p. It's actually worth noting that the PS4 version of the game runs at 900p. However, the PS4 version intentionally shaves off that extra 180 pixels so that it can more easily and consistently target 60 frames per second, whereas this Nintendo Switch version runs at 30 FPS. And while I expected a ton of frame dips on some of the most intense action, surprisingly enough, the game held up pretty well, never straying too far from its 30 FPS target. However, it's also clear that it took more compromises than just lowering the frame rate to get this running on Nintendo Switch. NieR Automata never really had impressive draw distance, but you can tell that the draw distance has been scaled down in this game, and oftentimes when seeing objects in the distance you can see some really low detail lots in the distance. As a result, pop-in may be a little bit worse on this version of the game. If you spent a lot of time playing this game on PS4 or PC, you will notice that textures in the environment have been downgraded a bit. In particular, if you go around and you look at the grass or any of the vegetation, you will notice it being a little bit more pixely than you might remember. That being said, it's not like NieR Automata had particularly impressive textures on any of its versions. Thankfully, the art style of the game lends to it so well that it doesn't really need those technically impressive textures. NieR Automata is a gorgeous game, and the Switch version is no exception. NieR Automata also has pre-rendered cinematics that utilize the game's in-game graphics. It might just be me, but I think some of these felt a little bit more compressed compared to the PS4 version, and likely this is because of the storage limitations of the Nintendo Switch. That being said, it's not like they look bad or anything, so who cares? Now, of course, you may be wondering, how does the game hold up in handheld mode? I'm glad to report that in my experiences, the game still performs excellently in handheld mode, maintaining a resolution of 720p. There are also some additional features added for this Switch version, one of them being motion controls. Now, don't go thinking you're gonna have to do some waggling for some combos. It seems these motion controls are mostly reserved for the flight sequences, so you can waggle one of your JoyCons to do a melee attack, and you can waggle the other in order to do a dodge. While this is a neat little gimmick, if you are past the age of 30, you will only feel your wrist aching as you try to do this waggling. It doesn't really add much, but it's a nice little touch. I just can't imagine anyone practically wanting to use that feature. Pressing a button in most cases is always easier than performing a motion gesture, and while I can't think of a few exceptions to that rule, this really isn't one of them. But again, it's completely optional and you can turn it off entirely in the menu, so why not have it? Another thing worth mentioning is that if you are a NieR Automata veteran, adjusting to the Joy-Con controls is going to be a bit of a pain. For the most part, it's mapped out the exact same as it would be on a PlayStation controller. However, if you have dummy thick fingers, the circumference of the buttons on the Joy-Cons is a bit smaller than the ones that are on PlayStation. As a result, even if you are a veteran of this game, when you first get your hands on it, it's going to take a minute to adjust. On top of which, having half the frame rate of the other versions of this game may also have you a little bit thrown off at first. But as I continued to play the game, this really didn't end up being a major issue. And eventually I was able to get back in the groove of playing somewhere around where I thought I should have been playing. The NieR Switch port is nothing short of a miracle port. Somehow, some way, they got one of the best games of the last generation running on Nintendo Switch. And running and looking pretty good. This is absolutely nothing short of stellar. While if you already own NieR Automata, there isn't really a new reason to get this version, unless you really want the new optional DLC outfits. If you really want to be able to play this game on the go, this version is perfect for you to be able to do exactly that. And if you haven't played NieR Automata, first of all, you've been sleeping on one of the greatest games of all time. What is wrong with you? This game is absolutely worth playing. And if you've been thinking about finally hopping in and finally playing this game, if you've never done it before, this version is good enough for you to get the full experience. I give NieR End of Your Ha Edition a solid recommendation. And now a word from our sponsor, BenQ, and their incredible TH690ST projector. This 1080p HDR10 projector is designed to give you an incredible gaming experience. Putting the projector to the test against my 150-inch projector screen yielded incredible results. With a 120Hz refresh rate and extremely low input lag, you can comfortably enjoy games being displayed at over 100 inches, with 2D Keystone allowing you to always get the perfect angle. Trevolo speakers are chambered at both sides of the projector, delivering consistent sound regardless where the projector is placed in the room. Playing Final Fantasy XIV on this projector will make you feel like you are living in Eorzea, and for me, it will be the definitive way to play Final Fantasy XVI when it launches. So be sure to check out the BenQ TH690ST and immerse yourself in your games like never before. Link in the description below.